Hello, and again, welcome to Bit Depth. I'm Santiago Ramones. I have an album out called Hypothetical. Every month, I've been doing a podcast breaking down the elements and discussing the creation of each track until I run out of tracks. And this is the last track. Hypothetical is the final track on the album of the same name. It was composed and produced by me. It was co-produced and mixed by Mac Lane. And it was mastered by Kevin Lively. Hypothetical is the culmination of years and years of work on this music as a songwriter, composer, producer, and performer. I had this idea to create a sound collage using the audio from the entire album itself. Of course, this couldn't even be composed until the album was fully recorded, so I had to have the idea just sitting in my head for a while until the album was completed. Once everything was recorded, I opened up an Ableton Live session and got to work on tinkering with the sounds from the album. Everyone that contributed to the album is on this track. You can think of it as a sonic scavenger hunt. This will be a little different from the other breakdowns because this time we're going in linear order instead of bottom to top. So let's start uncovering each little snippet. The foundation for this track is monomate. The sound that is present on every single track is now brought to the foreground, diegetically cemented. As if to say, no, you weren't imagining things. This little synth is everywhere. The other foundation for this track is Bit Depth, the first track on the album. Rather than lead with guitar or voice, we're leading with monomate. But the chords and structure are like a stretched out bit depth, alternating between two chords, which are C major and A minor. We couldn't have a conclusion for the album without an appearance from Stephen Arp, which is all over the album, just not as prominent as monomate. This Stephen Arp is also upfront and personal. It's the clearest you get to hear it on the album. I also have this glitch effect that many of the tracks are sending into, which will grab a snippet of the audio and repeat it while mangling the sound a little. You'll hear it on a lot of things as we go along. The first sound heard on Late is now the first reference on Hypothetical. Once sounds are introduced in this track, they keep looping until the end. But as new things enter, old things are turned down. But if you listen closely, you'll still hear each sound. There's also a reversed cymbal from The Vicious Cycle. I missed a crash whenever I recorded The Vicious Cycle, so I recorded this lone crash to throw into different places, so I reversed it and made it handy for this little swell. This boom sound comes from replacement, to really drive that impact with the first section of the song with new sounds. This bass part comes from the bass at the end of Space Heat. Most of the pitched instruments that you hear on this track had to be shifted into place. This song is in C, but Space Heat is in D. I had to do that math for every single sample that wasn't in a corresponding key to Hypothetical here. Here is the context for that bass sample that has been altered for Hypothetical. This is the first voice you hear, which is Bailey Gilbert of Bailey Boy, and it's from her harmony part in Late. At least Late is in C, so there's no pitch change. Here is Bailey's original part. The second voice that you hear is Jared Leakite of The Lunar Laugh with his featured vocal sample from the bridge of Too Cold. Here's that original sample. This is one of the first things that I was playing with for the final track. It's the lead guitar from Star Destroyer, and I pitched it down and butchered it to be this weird texture. Here's what it sounded like originally. This is also from Star Destroyer, which again I mangled to create this arpeggiated chord. Here's that snippet, but still pitch shifted. Still don't recognize it? Maybe you recognize this.
Stars explode for you.
This is Cat Lock, who was featured on Ghost. You actually hear two layers of Cat's voice. This, and this. This thing was cut up and pitched to smash it into the key, and here's where it's actually from.
Throughout the night.
And the other thing you hear is the very last part that she sings. This is Sephra Osborne, who was on Without Us, which is in A minor, so I didn't have to change pitch. I used this vocal thing to transition between the chords. Here's that original sample. Because I wanted this final track to be instrumental and without lyrics, I cut out the consonants from the vocal parts I used. The vowels are still present though, so you can still pretty much make out what they're saying.
There is no life out there.
This is the harp from Koi, which I mangled and pitched. Here's the original. I don't actually remember what this bass is from. Maybe I made this synth specifically for Hypothetical? Or I think it maybe came from Replacement. I don't know. There's way too much to keep track of. This is Rosalind Melton from Roz, who was featured on Space Heat. She did some ooh harmonies in the pre-chorus that I cut up and pitched to fit the chords. Here's what that sounded like originally. This fun sound is from Replacement, which I decided to use MIDI for instead of pitching up or down an audio clip. This is Sierra Brooke, who has her own solo music but is also one half of the band 5 Year Gap. She sang harmonies on Koi, which had to be pitched up, and here's the context of where it came from.
Koi, koi, do you.
This is Bailey Gilbert again from Late, which comes from the harmonies around the lyric, to you.
To you.
A little more bass, a nice cuddly bass tone from Campbell Young from the last note of Too Cold. Here's where it came from. And we have a slightly manipulated snare part from Trauma, played by Trevor Lindley. Bit depth and Hypothetical are both in 6/8 time, whereas much of the rest of the album is in 4/4 time. That means that I had to nudge a lot of rhythmic things into time to make sense with 6/8 time. It kind of makes the timing in Hypothetical feel like it's somewhere between 6/8 or 3/4 time. Anyways, here's how that snare part originally sounded. This little monomate style cello part is from Trauma, which was played by Alex Rosfeld from the band Shift. I had to change the pitch a little, and here's the context of where that came from. This chopped up sample comes from Too Cold, and the sound itself is this snowy synth from another track called Icicles. Here's what it sounded like in Too Cold. This piano part comes from the final chorus of The Vicious Cycle, which I cut up and pitch shifted to fit the key of Hypothetical. And here's the context of where it comes from. Mac wanted there to be a little bit more rhythm in this track, and he was correct. So we also added these drum hits, which come from the ending of Replacement, played by Keegan Darrow. Here's the context for that. And we start to fade in these toms from the bridge of Star Destroyer, also played by Keegan Darrow. This is an example of a rhythmic instrument that I didn't nudge to fit into 6/8 time because of math that I won't bore you with. It ends up working out, again creating this 3/4 time feeling. Anyways, here is what these drums originally sounded like. This here is the main cello part from Trauma, again played by Alex Roosevelt. I had to nudge the rhythm to work into this time signature. Here is the context from where that sound came from. This almost gets lost in the wash of things, but I have to have something from every track. This is from Letting Go, and it's the thing that I called Nostalgia. I didn't bother with timing, as the piano is played so fast, it's more of a texture rather than a rhythmic instrument. And here's what it originally sounded like. This piano part is from Without Us, which is mostly included to have something to send into the glitch effect. It also really plays with this 3/4 time feel. Here's that original sound. This comes from the lead guitar in The Vicious Cycle. Here's that original sound.
Repeat, 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 repeat.
The more notable entrance we hear from this next section is from Roslyn here, which is her repetition of Space Heat from the song Space Heat. I nudged the notes to correspond with the chord changes. Like I said earlier, I cut off the consonants, so all you hear are the notes with the vowels. But here's what they originally sounded like.
Space heat, space heat.
This is another one that is thanks to Mac, who decided that these bass lines wouldn't just be bass lines, but treated like melodies. So he pitched them up higher and added some distortion to let them pop out. We have Campbell Young's bass again from Too Cold, and we have Alexa LaCroix's bass from Right Now. Here's the context from Campbell's snippet. And here's Alexa LaCroix's original bass from Right Now. These two snippets come from Mac's lead guitar in Right Now. Here's the context for each of these spots. There's also a little bit more from Mac's guitars on right now, and this is what they sounded like originally. And here we have Sephiroth Osbourne again with this epic transition. Without Us is in A minor, so again, I didn't have to change the pitch. Here's where it came from. Here's Nia Monet's vocal from Letting Go, which is mostly unaltered except for the pitch. Here's the original sound for each snippet. Also from Letting Go, we have these tubular bells, which are probably barely audible. They were slightly pitch shifted from the original. We also have the increasing intensity of these drums from Replacement, which, once again, Keegan Darrow. Here is where they came from. Very subtly, we have these leads from Bit Depth playing the melody from that song very, very slowly, saying, "Make your story worth telling." We also have some of the drum nonsense from Replacement, this clip being played by Don Dada, who plays with Lust Online and Burl. I also added yet another layer of Sephiroth's vocal from Without Us for this last A minor chord, chopping up some of the stuff, changing pitch, whatever. Here's each spot originally. Because there wasn't enough representation from Ghost, I tossed these things in, a synth pad and the vibraphone part. Here's the originals, respectively. This transition into the big climax is harkening back to bit depth. So we also get the inclusion of these guitars from bit depth, which have been nudged to match the tempo. As we approach this ending, because there's so much, I'm just gonna lightning round the sounds leading up into that ending. I'll tell you where it's from, play it as it is in Hypothetical, and then a snippet of the original if there's anything to pull. This music box is from Bit Depth, which I used MIDI for, so there is no original. This guitar is from Star Destroyer. These vocals are also from Star Destroyer from the bridge. This pad that I called 80s pad is from Koi. And once again, we have this harp from Koi. These vocals are Sierra Brook again from the ending of Koi. These very chopped up vocals are Jared Lee Kites from Too Cold. And we have this snowy synth again, also from Too Cold. Leading into this section, I put the bit depth guitar melody on the glockenspiel and vibraphone, both from Ghost. It's a lot of layered stuff, but it's all Cat's vocal from Ghost. These vocals here are Rosalind Melton from Space Heat. I actually composed and arranged new parts using the instruments from Replacement, and they sound so cool that I'm just going to play them for you individually. Strings, brass, woodwinds. These vocals are from the ending in Right Now.
Right now, oh.
Here's Bailey Gilbert again from the ending of Late.
A universe delay without us.
This is Sephra again from Different Spots in Without Us.
Without us, there is no life out there.
These oddly chopped up and shifted vocals are from Trauma.
Your pain will be over soon.
This piano from Vicious Cycle was retimed and repitched. And this is Nia Monet again from the last chorus of Letting Go. In case you hadn't noticed already, for the ending, I wanted there to be one thing from every single track in the ending, which was a hell of a time to edit. There's other sounds in the ending that I didn't go over just now, because they sounded pretty similar to how I showed you earlier. But you've heard pretty much every sound on the album, multiple times now, on this track. It was really rewarding to go through every single track on the album. It's even more rewarding that I get to go through every single sound of the entire album at the end here. That's pretty much also the point of Hypothetical, is to go back through all of the sounds that went into the album that you just heard. The album is meant to be listened to in order, so that you understand everything that goes into this final track. I'm really glad that I got to tell the story for each individual track. It makes Hypothetical, this last track, all the more special because of all of the work that went into it, and it gets to all be in one place. I feel like I got better at telling these stories the more that I did them. Every artist that you listen to has this much and more to say about their work. The time and dedication, the painstaking level of detail, the heartfelt stories being put into the art is all there if you take the time to get to know it. All of these stories are contained in every person's music. I'm just fortunate enough to be a podcaster, and so I can go this in depth with my music on my own podcast. Thank you for being a part of this journey with me. I'm looking forward to doing it on the next album. There's one more sound that I won't tell you about. It's up to you to discover it for yourself, much like the other secrets that can be found on my website. Go to santiagoramones.com/hypothetical to find those secrets. Here's Hypothetical in its entirety. Thank you for listening to Bit Depth. You can listen to Hypothetical wherever you stream music. Or, preferably, you can buy Hypothetical on Subvert, a new cooperatively owned music platform. To find me there, go to subvert.fm/Santiago. That's right, subvert.fm/Santiago. I also have made-to-order merch on my website. Direct financial support will always be better than what streaming can provide. You can also use your voice to tell others that you like what I'm doing. That doesn't cost money. My website is the place where you can find all things Bit Depth and all things Hypothetical. So please go to santiagoramones.com to get the full experience. Link is in the description. If you are an artist that wants to tell the story of your songs or even albums, please reach out. I'd love to help you tell your story. Stay tuned for the return of Bit Depth interviews and conversations, this time with video. Love never fails. It's going to be okay. I might be wrong.